Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first part in our Body and Soul Wellness for Students series. My name is Brianna Farrell. I am a first-year admission counselor at Mount Mary University, and we are so excited that you have all joined us this evening, again, for our first part in this series. We're hoping that we can share some really useful information with you and kind of just ease some of those maybe stresses that you have about coming to Mount Mary this fall. Tonight we're going to be talking about coping strategies for face masks, and we're going to be joined by two of our nursing faculty members. So we're super excited that we have these experts from Mount Mary's own campus coming in this evening to kind of share their own expertise with you as we all learn how to navigate this new world that we're living in. We know that it can be a very stressful time, and you may not have ended your last semester of high school the way you wanted, but we hope that we can introduce you to Mount Mary in a way that just makes you feel a little bit more comfortable with your new environment. So without further ado, we are going to start off our first video with Jennifer Dahlman. She is a faculty member within the nursing department, and she is going to chat with you tonight about how to wear your face masks appropriately, and then also just dealing with any anxiety that you have while wearing a face mask.
Welcome to Mount Mary University, and thank you for taking the time to join us for a presentation from our Health and Wellness series. There will be several of these presentations available to you. We hope that you can join us for all of them. Mount Mary wants all of us to be future forward and think about the experiences and goals that are ahead of us. My name is Jennifer Dahlman, and I am a member of the nursing faculty at Mount Mary University. I have been a nurse for over 15 years, working in areas such as pediatrics, emergency room care, and hospital administration. My colleague, Dr. Carrick, who is the department chair of the nursing department at Mount Mary University, would like to welcome you to our presentation on health and wellness. We are going to be focusing today on some helpful information to improve the health of your mind and your body. We will also share some encouraging tips for becoming a member of the Future Forward community at Mount Mary University. The priority at Mount Mary University is to keep everyone safe and to ensure that we are creating an environment in which all future leaders in all areas of practice can learn and thrive. We are doing all we can to work together to create a safe learning environment for you, but we need your help. We need you to take some steps to take care of yourself. Let Dr. Groom and I share some ways in which you can do this, focusing on your mind and your body. I would like to begin by talking with you about some of the anxious feelings you may be having about starting this new journey, especially amidst this trying time in the world. At Mount Mary University, we recognize that you may be nervous about starting a new journey in a new place, and we realize that this feeling can be increasingly intense around your safety on campus. There are several ways in which we would like to keep you safe on campus, and ways that we can show you how to tackle this feeling to be healthy, and these techniques are easy to do. The first one, no laughing, is visualization. Many times we fill our heads with all of the things that can go wrong. We contemplate all of the reasons why we should stay home, or if we have an 8 a.m. class, all of the reasons that we should go back to bed. However, what we need to be doing is picturing our success. Try this with me for a moment. Close your eyes and picture yourself waking in the morning. You're feeling rested and you're ready to start the day. Keeping your eyes closed, visualize what your day is going to look like. What would you love to accomplish today? What wonderful experience are you going to have on the Mount Mary campus? What fantastic staff or faculty or fellow students are you going to meet? You may open your eyes. In order to have this wonderful experience, you need to interact with people on campus. And you need to attend classes in person to learn new information in your courses. This is why Mount Mary University is striving to create a safe environment for you. Now, if your mind starts to wander about all the barriers, the obstacles, and hassles you may encounter from your bed to your classroom, start with just the first step. So let's close our eyes again and think about getting ready for your day. Think about the warm shower. Think about which clothes you're going to wear. Think about what you want to eat for breakfast and what you can pack for lunch to keep yourself safe in the environment on campus. Not to mention, you don't want your grumbling belly embarrassing you in class. That goes for professors too. Each time that you encounter a feeling of dread or anxiety, close your eyes and slowly count to 10 in your mind. Make sure you are taking deep breaths in your nose and out your mouth. Let's practice this together. In your nose and out your mouth. Count to 10 in your mind. And again, start to visualize wherever you are in your day, what your next step is going to be. What is the next step that you need to take to be successful? And just focus on that next step. This breathing exercise is very helpful in preparation. But what happens if you're on campus? Yay, you made it to campus, you're in your class or in your office, and now you're experiencing some feelings of anxiousness. What do you do now? Well, first let me assure you that you are not alone. There are many faculty, staff, and fellow students that feel the same as you do. This is a new experience for all of us, and we are in this together. However, if your nerves get the best of you, or you are feeling anxious about the space that you're in, take a break from it. Politely inform whoever is around you that you need a break, that you need some fresh air, and excuse yourself to do some visualization and some breathing. Take a walk outside, find a secluded spot, and close your eyes and picture the next step you need to take to make it through that activity, to get to your next class or activity. Now this may take some time, but be patient with yourself. The faculty and staff at Mount Mary University will be there to give you the time and support that you need to be successful. We have on-site counseling services to talk with you about your feelings. We have advisors and staff and caring professors that you can talk to about your classes. At Mount Mary University, you will be taken care of as a student, as a person, and as a friend. And believe me, this exercise works in all areas of your life, not just for school. Now, some of you might be thinking, how do I perform these exercises with a face covering on? Well, there are a couple things you can do. You can find a secluded area and remove your face covering to take a break. You could perform the breathing exercises and visualizations with your mask covering on. I assure you, it can be done. Ta-da! Let me show you how you can have your face covering on and still do some deep breathing exercises. Again, closing my eyes, taking a deep breath in my nose, and out my mouth, in my nose, and out my mouth. You can still perform these exercises with a face covering on. If you're still concerned and you have some questions about the face coverings at Mount Mary, my colleague Dr. Groom would love to share her expertise in wearing a face covering. These are required on the Mount Mary University campus to ensure the safety of everyone, and they may look a little bit different from person to person. When you attend Mount Mary University, you will be issued one of your very own. So wear it with pride and show that you are future forward.
All right. So next we do have Dr. Carrick here with us to further discuss some of the face masks and coping strategies and just how overall to wear a face mask. So Carrick is our Chief Nurse Administrator at Mount Mary. She's also the department chair and one of our faculty members. So I will turn it on over. Oh, one thing. Since Kara is here with us this evening, please feel free to use the chat feature as well. If you have any questions for Kara as they come up, I'll be monitoring the chat and asking Kara afterwards. So feel free to ask away in the chat.
Hello, Mount Mary community. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you to Dr. Dahlman for those wonderful breathing exercises. It was perfect timing for me. I now feel relaxed and ready for my portion of today's talk. So my name is Dr. Carrick, and I am a registered nurse with a background in critical care. And as Brianna mentioned, I'm the chair of our nursing program here at Mount Mary. And I'm really excited to be asked to share some information on ways to keep yourself, your family, and your community safe during the current COVID-19 pandemic. So my portion of the talk is going to be focused on using a cloth face covering. The information I'm sharing today is based on guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. Since there is currently no vaccine to prevent COVID-19, the best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to the virus. So when you can't be socially distanced by being at home, wearing a cloth face covering is an important tool to keep yourself, your family, and your community safe. Cloth face coverings are recommended as a simple barrier to help prevent respiratory droplets from traveling into the air and onto other people when the person who's wearing the cloth face covering coughs, sneezes, talks, or raises their voice. And this is what we call source control. This recommendation is based on what we know about the role that respiratory droplets play in the spread of the virus that causes COVID-19. And this is paired with emerging evidence from clinical and laboratory studies that show that cloth face coverings reduce the spray of droplets when they're worn over the nose and mouth. COVID-19 spreads mainly among people who are in close contact to one another, so within about 6 feet. So the use of a cloth face covering is particularly important in settings where people are close to each other or where social distancing is difficult to maintain. We should all wear cloth face coverings in public settings and when we're around people who don't live in our own household. You could spread COVID-19 to others even if you don't feel sick. And cloth face coverings may help prevent people who have COVID-19 from spreading the virus to others. So wear that cloth face covering when you go out in public, for example, to the grocery store. I want to next share a couple safety considerations to think about when wearing your cloth face covering. So first, cloth face coverings are not the same as surgical masks or respirators. Currently, those critical supplies should continue to be reserved for our healthcare workers and our first medical responders. Cloth face coverings also should not be placed on young children under the age of 2 or anyone who has trouble breathing. The bottom line I think about is that you don't want to put a cloth face covering on somebody who would be unable to remove the mask without assistance. You want to be sure you wear your cloth face covering correctly. So here's a couple tips for wearing your cloth face covering. First, wash your hands before putting on your face covering. Next, make sure it goes over your nose and your mouth and it is secured under your chin. I too often see somebody wearing a cloth face covering, but having it under their nose, and you need it up over your nose to offer the best protection. You want it to fit snugly against the sides of your face, and you want to make sure you can still breathe easily in your cloth face covering. So next, I'll share a couple steps to take off your cloth face covering. It may have strings that tie behind your head or stretch ear loops. You want to untie those strings behind your head or stretch out the ear loops to remove it. And you want to try to handle it only by the ear loops or the ties. You can then fold your outside of the corners together, being careful not to touch your eyes, nose, or your mouth when you're removing your cloth face covering. After that, it can be put into the washing machine, and it can be washed with your other regular laundry. You just need to use regular laundry detergent and the warmest appropriate setting for the material that your cloth face covering is made out of. And then finally, be sure to wash your hands after removal as well. I hope this overview of the importance of cloth face coverings was helpful. And I want to just remind our Mount Mary community to please take care of yourself. And when you can, take care of others too. Stay healthy, and I look forward to seeing you all on campus very soon.
Thank you, Kara, so much for providing that overview for us. That was extremely helpful. And just to remind everyone, at Mount Mary, we do have a policy that face masks must be worn indoors at all times for the whole Mount Mary community. So that's why we do feel it's very important for everyone to kind of be aware of these coping strategies, as well as how to properly put on and wear your face mask. So thank you, Kara, so much again. Again, if anyone has any questions for Kara while we have her, feel free to put them in the chat, and we can review those with Kara. But for Kara, how might wearing a face mask impact any of our students, and how we're going to class and going to participate in all campus activities this fall?
Well, I think what's important to keep in mind is that by wearing a cloth face covering, it means we can all be back together in our community, partaking in these environments. So in the classroom and engaging with each other. So as a community at Mount Mary, I think of it as keeping myself safe, but also keeping my community safe. I, for one, am really looking forward to be back on campus and in conversations with my colleagues and with students again this fall. So for my part as a nurse and as a faculty member and as a member of the Mount Mary community, I think it's really important to kind of view it as a small part that we can all do to really keep our community safe and to be back with learning from and with each other this fall.
Great, awesome. And then, Kara, as a nurse, you're also kind of a pro at wearing face masks and face coverings all day and for several hours. Is this something that you ever really get used to? Is this something that just becomes kind of like second nature?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I would say for sure, it might feel awkward at first. It might not be something you're used to, but in my experience, when I worked in the intensive care unit, we wore surgical masks when we were taking care of patients in isolation very frequently. So it became like second nature to me. So just as I was washing my hands, putting on my gloves, grabbing a face mask became just absolutely part of my routine and very much a part of my day. So it becomes something that just really does feel comfortable, and for me, it becomes very much second nature.
Awesome. And just one final question for you then. We are talking about coping strategies specific to face masks this evening, but is there any other changes that our students and our faculty have to make to ensure the health of our campus community, and any additional just tips or coping strategies as we all learn how to navigate this new world together?
Yeah, I think there's a couple that I would recommend. As we're reading or hearing on the news, we cannot overestimate the importance of our, of simple things like washing our hands. So just those kinds of safety precautions that we're hearing about, washing our hands frequently, cleaning the environments that we're in. So cleaning, the classrooms as we're leaving them or as we're starting, so that we're ensure that we're starting our conversations in a safe environment and that we're leaving the environment safe for the next people. Those kinds of things are very important. But I think equally important is thinking about self-care and ways to stay connected and feel connected, even though we need to be a bit more socially distanced than we'd like. And I think we're becoming better at figuring out ways to, to stay connected even though we're physically further apart from each other. So I think about the things that bring me a bit of relaxation, or that I try to carve out in my day to really keep me centered, and then bring my energy, back to the classroom and to my role and my job and my family. So for me, it's been things like, keeping up with my running, which has become slower as the years go on, but nonetheless, I still keep up with it. Whatever self-care looks like or feels like to you, it can really vary, but I think we really want to make sure that as our fall semester is approaching, we think about what are those things that bring us a sense of centeredness, and then be sure we're carving out time to engage in those self-care activities so that we can really bring the best to our studies and to each other, as we're all feeling a bit more anxious in this environment that we're in. What are the things that you like to do for self-care?
For me?
Yeah, sure.
I love to read.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been devouring a bunch of books during this time, so that's what I personally like to do.
Yeah, I think it's just really important to engage in those self-care and then find the opportunities for connection, wherever we can. So for me, those opportunities of connection can come in conversation, standing a bit further apart than I'm used to standing, but they can come in some new and some different ways. But we really want to make sure that we have the time for self-care, but then we have kind of that extra energy to be looking out for our community as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Kara, so much again for joining us this evening and imparting some of your expertise on all of us. I think this has been super helpful and just a great way to start our 3-part webinar series. So thank you again. So that is all that we have for this evening. I just want to reiterate kind of what Kara and Jennifer both have touched on throughout their presentations, is that at Mount Mary we are so lucky to have so many caring professors and faculty and staff, as well as mental health counselors and those additional resources on campus for all of our students to utilize. So I think this whole webinar series that we're doing really just touches on Mount Mary's commitment to developing not only the academic and the scholar, but also the whole person, and really just making sure that we're well-rounded women as we go through our time on campus. So I think we're, just to reiterate, so very lucky to have all of those resources, and then also have these experts that we have on campus who are here and volunteering their time to give us their nuggets of expertise. A couple of other items, these sessions will be recorded, so you can always check back, reference these videos again throughout the summer, or pass them on to other people if you see that they are useful. We will also be doing another session tomorrow night as well as Thursday evening at the same time with different faculty members across the Mount Mary campus, so feel free to pop back into these sessions and join us for those. In addition, if you have any questions about Mount Mary, how we're moving forward with our response to COVID-19, feel free to contact me. My telephone number is 414-930-3387, and I'll say that again. My phone number is 414-930-3387. So if you have any questions about Mount Mary, any visit opportunities, or just how we're addressing everything, please feel free to call or text me and reach back out. But I would just like to, again, say thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you at the other 2 sessions. Have a great rest of your evening.